Alright, here we go. Name's Longbow. Been making a lot of Modern Warfare 2 videos lately. Gonna do something a little different today. I have last night I started playing the Battlefield Bad Company 2 beta. And I'm gonna have to say I'm pretty impressed so far. It is beta. It's got its issues. Some of the initial issues when it first launched the beta test was servers, a lot of lag, hard to find a server. The in-game server browser was all jacked up and was causing crashes and stuff. So it didn't exactly get off on the right foot, but then again, that's to be expected with a launch, especially a beta launch. When you got a lot of Battlefield series fans out there just waiting to, counting the minutes almost. Versus Modern Warfare 2, this game makes Modern Warfare 2 look very simple. The controls in Modern Warfare 2 are tighter, but then again, this is beta, and they've actually tightened the controls up quite a bit since the beta was first released. Before I go any further, I do want to talk about one glaring graphics issue with the beta right now, and that is if you are running an SLI or Crossfire setup with your graphics cards, you're gonna have issues if you don't disable it. If you're running with both cards active, then you're gonna get some, more than likely, are going to get some flickering on some shadows and textures out on the water. It's not a game breaker, but it is distracting and it is irritating. If you've got Crossfire, which I do, I'm running a 4870X2 ATI. Just disable your Catalyst AI, which effectively disables the Crossfire mode of the card, and you'll be running off of just one of the processors. And no more flickering texture problem. It was great. And amazingly enough, when I turned it off, the game ran smoother. Higher frames per second. Now, I'm running this game without fraps running, without me recording. I run the game somewhere between 70 and 90 frames a second. It usually stays in that general area. There are a few spots that just seem to be at random where the frame rate will slow down to, in the 20s or so, but they don't last but just a few seconds. So you're definitely going to get a smoother, more enjoyable experience out of the beta, at least, if you're just running one card. And I imagine that'll probably be addressed before the game is actually fully released. I am quite impressed with what this game does graphically, and how many people are running on the server, and how good a frames per second you can get out of it. I have a quad-core processor, but I've been reading a lot online that people with dual cores are doing just fine in the game as well. Let's talk about the mechanics of the Battlefield in general. First of all, audio. I'm not an audiophile, but I do like my games to sound good. I like my explosions to sound like explosions. I like my guns to sound like guns. And I like to be able to hear the stuff going on around me. If you've got a good surround sound setup or a good set of headphones, you're really going to love the audio in this game. It really makes it feel like it's a battlefield. There's a lot of stuff going on around you all the time. It's hardly ever quiet. Explosions, buildings collapsing, guns going off all different directions. It's really quite impressive audio experience. It's amazing. If you can get past things like rock textures, stuff like that are a little bit low res or whatever, and this is beta, so the final release of the game may have better textures for some of the stuff, but for the most part the textures are great. The only thing I've really seen issues with textures and stuff was the water thing that I mentioned earlier. Foliage textures seem to be low res, and some of the rocks seem to be low res. Other objects are high res, look great, have good bump mapping on them. The buildings in this game are destructible. You know, that's been touted in a lot of games as a gimmick or, you know, a sales point or whatever. But in a game like this, a multiplayer game like this, being able to destroy cover is insane. It's realistic. Here's an example. I was up on the second floor of a building earlier today, and there was a 50 cal machine gun mounted in the window. Alright, and I started shooting on this 50 cal machine gun. All of a sudden, the air was filled with smoke, and the wall that the machine gun was mounted in with the window, the whole thing was gone. And there's this big gaping hole in the wall, and it took me a second to realize what had happened. But somebody had taken a 203 grenade launcher, and they'd seen me up there shooting, and they just blew the wall out. You know, and so I got the hell out of Dodge. But that's just an example. People, you can't hide, can't hole up in buildings, because almost every class has some kind of explosive device, whether it be C4, 203 grenade launchers, hand grenades, whatever. You know, you can customize your classes to call in airstrikes, all that kind of stuff. Initially, it took some getting used to get into this game. The controls felt a little bit sluggish. They're better now. They've patched the game since I started playing it. The controls are more responsive now. Feels a lot better. Modern Warfare 2, while being fun, it's got more of an arcade game type feel to it when compared to Battlefield. In Battlefield, all the weapons have recoil. They are not pinpoint accurate. There's pretty widespread on the weapon if you're firing full auto, and there's gravity in this game. If you're a sniper and you're a long ways off, you better be aiming over the top of your enemy, because that bullet will drop. The bullets drop in this game. So you got the physics, the gravity, the buildings being destructible, all the audio. It all comes together to make a very immersive environment. There's one more thing that I do want to talk about that I really like as compared to Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2, you create your custom classes. You customize your classes, they're saved in a list, so on and so forth. And you have to wait between games to change your classes. You can't do that in the middle of the game. With Battlefield 2, whenever you're dead, if you die, you can choose your new kit and customize it to with whatever you've unlocked. You can make any combination. You can do it on the fly whenever you're dead, just between respawns. And as the beta progresses and gets closer to launch, I will probably do another 1 or 2 of these videos with further impressions, improvements on the game, things that don't seem to be improving. But as it stands right now, the game's got a hell of a lot of potential, and I'm having a blast with it. And it feels like you're on a battlefield. I'm going to wrap this up now, and I'll see you guys in game. Later.